Hey, what's up, everybody? Mogan Monster here, and welcome to Why the Fascination. Sorry, Stevie's been having some technical difficulties. Like I said, technical difficulties.
Oh my Lord. Hi, everybody. I'm here. I promise. Wow.
Hopefully, she didn't just break her phone.
You know, it was flying.
She just flooded my laptop with coffee, so that we had to switch devices. Oh, jeez.
I did. I went to go put the coffee on the other side, and
I stood up to get something, and I thought I hit the table or something, but then I was like, no, I didn't touch it.
no,
And yeah, she just
that was me.
drowned my computer. So, oh well. How's everybody doing tonight? Great to see you.
So
Sharon Guy, what's up?
I gotta go back out.
Harold, hey, turn your volume down. Oh, you backed out all the way?
I did because my volume is down and it's not muting.
I can mute you from here.
No, you can't mute my phone.
Oh, no.
And it wasn't
This is
muting.
true.
It was not. I'm here, guys.
Christy, how are you?
Wow.
Great to see you. Who else? I know there's a bunch of people here. Northwoods, how's it going? Michelle Powell, how are you? Welcome back. I'm just gonna say hey. I'm not reading any chats right now until I get to the bottom.
And I'll get there eventually.
Yeah, she'll join us.
I'm here. You just can't see me. Probably a good thing.
Who else? Who else? Hey, Val, how are you? I'll get to the bottom of this sometime.
That's kind of how I'm feeling.
Danny Staten, what's up?
Get to the bottom of this.
Just keep scrolling.
You know.
Jim's camera done. How's it going, Jim? Great to see you.
What's up, Jim?
Abnormal investigations. What's going on? Sure, there's a few more. Let's see. Nope. Oh, that's it. I gotta find my glasses in this mess. I know they're around here somewhere.
I haven't seen him actually.
I got my driving ones there, and then the other ones are around here somewhere.
Oh.
Otherwise, I'm going to be leaning in. It seems like I still lean in with those damn glasses. What is that right there? Right?
No. Oh, yeah. They were sideways. I couldn't tell.
Sorry, guys. We got our shit together, right?
Yeah, I went away from them.
It was going good until the coffee.
You know.
You gotta hop in the studio there.
I'm not ready yet.
No, but I can leave to get you backstage. Oh, you still got it.
Yeah. Working on it.
Close enough. I hate these things. These glasses.
But it seems like you're getting used to them more and more each
Yeah,
show.
but it seems every time I put them on, they have to adjust.
Each show, you've worn them a little bit longer than the last.
Because the last time I wore them was Thursday. But, hey. So what are you guys up to? Audio, how are you? I didn't see a Scott B. Nope. So yeah, guys. Stevie will be joining us in a minute.
Eventually. I'm here. I'm almost there.
But if you want to join us and you're in chat, you can. What I'm going to do is put the link in chat. Anybody can click on that link, come hang out.
You should, because I'm a hot mess tonight.
And you know, you got something you want to talk about? You know, you're just bored. take Jim's, lead and just he doesn't want to type, so he just comes on and talks. Which is fine with me.
Yeah. I won't.
Jamie, how are you? Here, let me post that. Ready?
No.
No.
Sure.
There we go.
There we go. But the volume, see, it's not allowing me to mute it.
That's odd.
It is. Let's try it. Let's see.
Check.
Yeah, there's that.
Do you guys hear that echo though? Grasshopper. What's up, Robert? Been doing? Good to see you. Overbuilt. Where you been, man? Great to see you.
Yeah, I think I got it.
We'll get there.
No, I had to go into
Settings.
StreamYard and turn the mic off, like lower the volume on it.
Okay.
In settings, in the
Right on.
settings. But it's weird that I had the volume off on my phone. Didn't matter. StreamYard was still coming through.
That is up.
That is. Wow. How's everybody doing? I can't even see chat, I don't think.
So it was a interesting weekend.
Well, it's this
You-
past week,
You got back Saturday afternoon.
late afternoon.
Friday.
And I owe Flat Rock an apology.
Flat
I do, for sure.
Rock came to town.
I'm so disappointed I missed him and
He and his wife.
him and his wife.
Um,
How you guys?
we went out to
Sorry.
dinner. Or lunch. Yeah, it was dinner. Friday night. And then they were going to go do something on Saturday, but they popped over here
Waited for me to.
Saturday morning, thinking that she was going to come in at a certain time, and she got delayed. And they had stuff to do, so
I ended up getting home at like 1, wasn't it?
yeah, and they were going
Yeah.
to
It was a rough go getting home.
SeaWorld.
And I'm sorry, you guys, I missed you. I was so disappointed. Still am. Seriously.
It was a good scene.
I'm glad you got to spend time with them. And
What's up, Jim?
Well, howdy.
Howdy.
howdy. How you doing?
I'm doing good. It's good to have things back to normal. Stevie B is in the house instead of on the road, and Mog is going in and out from behind his glasses. Life is back to normal.
Jamie says Stevie's section of wall is nicer than Mo's.
Oh,
Plus, I will wager her table is tidied.
it's mostly his mess. So yes, my little corner on the edge of the table over here is pretty decent. That mess over there.
Wow. Take my wall back.
He's gonna throw me to the window. Oh Lord.
Hey,
You're probably laughing already.
this is the only way we figured out how to do it. Like, and it works.
It does.
Yeah.
He's
It was.
got more room than
it
I do.
worked.
He throws me in the corner.
You got more wall than I do. My elbow's hitting the wall. Come on.
Mine too.
Fuck that.
Excuse me.
Uh,
Oh, Lord. I needed that.
yeah, so it was, like I said, it was good to see Kenny. I hope they had a good time.
Yeah, and I'm
SeaWorld.
sorry I missed them. I like hanging out with Kenny.
Um,
Kenny and his wife.
hopefully.
I don't say her name because I don't know if it's okay to say her name.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't say it either.
Kenny's wife.
Did
Flat Rock. No, you didn't.
I? Think I.
No, I was just explaining why. Can y'all hear me okay?
It's right there.
No, I'm just wondering because I keep scooting around.
Stay right
I,
there.
when,
Well,
when I was out in chat, I could hear you okay, but that was a minute or two ago. I hear you fine on StreamYard.
Yeah, it's the same
Thank you.
microphone. So, see, now you can even scooch closer and no,
well, no, yeah.
you don't screw up the backdrop.
I'm not scooching closer.
Go ahead, Stevie. Get closer. Then if he annoys you, you can just
I
kick him
meant
under
to
the
I meant to the microphone. I'll move over.
Lord.
I was really looking forward to Miss Deal last Thursday.
Yeah,
I
I
made
said the
you
same.
know,
I said the same. I
I
did.
can't control it. You know.
I know, but I was hoping that she would show up.
So did I. I mean, she was in chat, but you know, Miss Dill is fun.
I love
Yeah.
this.
You know, she's been on before, and it's just fun.
She's amazing, witty, fun-loving, good people.
And you know, really doesn't give a shit.
No, and that's what I think I love
It's just-
most about her. She doesn't. She doesn't have to.
Nope.
You know?
Nope.
Not at all.
She's
Oh, Sharon Guy said Miss Dill had company come in last minute, she thinks. Well, that I understand.
yeah, another feeling. Yeah, we've been busy. We had LIB a couple weeks ago. Hang out for a week. And he stopped in. I think it's great, you know.
I do too.
Right in Florida.
Door's always open.
Yeah, if you're in Florida, stop by.
Give us a holler. I just wish I
You
was
know,
here.
you guys know I'm not coming till it cools off.
You're very smart.
Indeed.
It's, yeah.
Yeah, it was brutal today.
Yes.
I
One of those days you walk out and 10 minutes, you can't be out there 10 minutes without starting to sweat to death.
kind of split my day. I worked on the boats and I was wearing a hat. And then for some reason, when I went back, I had to run to the store and get some stuff. And when I went back, I didn't put my hat on.
Oh no.
Yeah, so that's why my nose is
Red.
red. And yeah, running around with no hat on for like, I don't know, an hour and a half.
Mhm.
No clouds. It was just all sun. Sweating my ass off. I felt funny going to
Yeah, there were no
my
clouds.
shirt was just. I was wearing a light gray shirt that was dark because it was just wet.
Wet. I believe it. There were no clouds. It was just straight sun. And I'm pretty sure I saw a rocket launch this morning.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just caught the very end of it, but saw the trail first, the cloud. Caught the very, when it was leaving the atmosphere. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Don't
Well,
expect
day
to-
before yesterday, and yesterday would have been the day for the 24-hour period for you guys to be here, because yesterday morning it was 63 degrees.
You know, I left Alexandria, Virginia Friday night and it was 67 degrees and a light breeze. I was in heaven. Absolute heaven. Almost to a chill. Almost because the breeze, but man, that was nice. I just
72-degree chill.
Well, yeah, but you step away from there into the next room out there, and
it's like
ask Ellen who calls that room.
Devil's dick room or something.
Yeah. It's so god awful hot. I swear.
Midwest, how are you?
What it do?
What's up, Mike? I hadn't scrolled down. It was like,
See, it's kind of messed up. When you're on your phone, you can look at chat or you can see the panel. You can't see both.
I can't, oh, you're there.
I know. I'm looking at chat right now, aren't I?
You can't see yourself unless you look over at my
I can't see anybody.
my my screen's a
Well, I
little
can see you. I just turn my head. You know.
catty corner because I gave her the flat while I took the corner. So the flag goes here, here's the corner, and then it goes this way, behind me. So I just have a little, got more room.
For you. Gotta be.
I'm just glad
How
you
you
did this
doing?
shit at all.
I know. Right?
It's gotta be. What's up? Somebody was looking for you earlier. Damn.
No, I come back home and hung my Sasquatch flat.
Oh, I didn't take the plastic off.
Oh yeah.
I just wanted to get a
You just left
position
it
on
up there.
and-
I didn't notice it
So
until you
there's-
said.
well, there's going to be a glare when it comes off, or because there's glare on it now.
Is there?
But no, that's a light. Never mind.
No, that's you can't even tell. Probably wouldn't have noticed unless you said something.
Sharon guy says it's 8:18 and it still feels like 1:02. Feels like.
Yeah, that whole feels like.
Well, that cool front that come through, it was about 83, 84 degrees. So I mowed the front yard for the first time in several weeks because it's been so dry here. Everything was dead.
Oh,
Yeah. So it rained pretty much 4 or 5 days in a row, that nice slow rain. So everything has just accelerated. So boom.
Yeah, it stormed earlier, and right when I was getting home from work, probably about 4:30 or so, I swear the temperature dropped at least 20 degrees. I
no,
came in the
was-
door and
it
said
was about it was about 10 degrees.
It felt like
I
20.
looked at it after you said that. I checked the temperature because it started off. It was like 95 degrees, and then a storm came through and it dropped down to.
it took all that
84.
humidity out and just cooled everything for a minute, just for a minute. It didn't last.
It felt good.
It did. It really did. I stood there outside before I came to the door for a second, just taking it in.
Scott says storming in eastern Kentucky right now. Well, be safe.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of. We got a storm coming at us
Next week, they're projecting. out
Monday,
there?
Tuesday, I think. What day is today? It's Tuesday.
Today's Tuesday.
So by this weekend, I think there's going to be Sunday, Saturday, possibly
Yeah.
Saturday, Sunday.
They're starting to talk about it at work already.
Yeah, there's
storm preparedness.
There's a.
If
It hasn't. There's a wave out there, a tropical wave coming at us, and it hasn't developed. It's got some, weather with it, but it hasn't developed.
but they're watching it because those waters are hot, boiling, bath water.
It very well developed.
Yeah. And the thing with my job, if something becomes of it, then I get called up for emergency services because it's part of the.
You know what? I actually think you look better right now on this camera. Look at on the other camera.
Okay.
I told you I keep wanting to get you a new camera. I'm just like, look at it. Wow, it looks good.
Okay.
I know. Sorry.
Anyways, no, I get called up for emergency services, and sometimes we get called to work the emergency shelter, or like the last hurricane, we give out water and tarps all day to a lot of people. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, what did I went there.
You brought me a chair and some water.
Water, yeah.
A little
They were
cooler.
giving out water. Go figure.
No,
No,
well,
what did I bring? There was something else. It was
I forget. I don't know.
something you didn't have there, but anyway.
Chair. Look at that. That was a godsend. But yeah, I get called up for emergency services, and I think if something happens or if it does again, then the next time we'll be doing the same thing.
Because sometimes they have to do shelter.
We manage the shelters,
So-
we go through shelter management training, and
If that's your duty, then you're in that shelter.
you get
with
locked
them.
in
Yeah.
basically from the time they declare everything shut down till the time they give the official all clear. We're locked in to the shelter. That's not always fun. Not always. It's not really fun because, yeah, I mean, you worry about your loved ones because, yes, they do have shelters for families. But, you know, if it's normally in the past, we haven't had the threat of, you know, that massive of a storm to have to warrant that. Thank God. I mean,
I kind of like where we are. We're in Central Florida. Yes, we still get hit with storms. But I also look like I'm in a trailer park this unit has been here for over 50 years.
right?
You know, so what are the chances of it getting
And
taken
all
out?
the other homes around it. You know, it's,
And we're right on a lake, but it is Central Florida.
you know,
So I'm not saying we're that safe. Anything
Oh,
can
no,
take
no,
us
no,
out,
no.
right? Maybe this house has been lucky for 50 years.
yeah,
but,
right.
you know, I'll live with luck.
But no, I, you know, it's unbelievably, it's not in a flood zone. They don't zone this as flood.
No.
Yeah, and we're right on the lake, so we're very.
If I were to trip out the back door, I'd fall into the lake.
Oh yeah. You stand in certain spots of the living room, you look out, you feel like you're on a boat.
The
I mean,
problem is right now is, you know, we have this great spot, but we can't even fish right now.
oh,
I think I
man.
told you about they cut the weeds and all these the roots.
The lily pad.
They cut all the lily
Right.
pads, and the roots from the bottom died, and they have nothing. So they were being held down with roots, and these big roots just came up, and they're all over the place now.
They're all bobbed up about 6 feet out from the
They're
wall.
more like 15
well,
feet,
yeah,
and then
no.
they go down the wall,
and now it's going further down, so it's almost
It's-
covering the wall.
and they're rotting, so they stink.
It stinks.
I know I keep bringing this up. It's anything I have to bitch about it.
Right.
You know?
A good thing.
No, you know, it's not.
The people that cut off the lily pads, couldn't they be held responsible to come clean up what they left behind?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of equipment and a lot of manpower just to do what they did out there to clear it. I believe for the event that they had the water ski show for the 4th of July week. So I think that's why they did
They've
that.
cut them down in the past, and they've grown back.
They do grow back, but
This time they did. Some did,
some did
but
out
not,
further.
but not the ones right out here that can die. And it just spoke
It's
to
all-
the top.
Yeah, and it's all gobbed up right here.
There's no way to fish it, kayak it, boat it. You can't come through that stuff. You
Mm-mm.
know.
And you don't enjoy being out there with it because it just stinks. That decomposing
Yeah.
yuck smell.
So yeah, guys. Once again, the link is in chat. Anybody wants to come on, hang out with me and Jim and Stevie, feel free. Click that button. Don't be afraid. We don't bite. You know.
Jim, do
They've
you
never
listen?
bit me.
Jim, do you listen to Cam Buckner?
No, not if I have, I don't recognize the name.
Okay. Dixie Cryptid.
Oh no, you guys are more into Bigfoot than I am.
Okay.
I listen in passing. You guys are in a little deeper.
Yeah.
You know, I'll listen to LIB every once in a while, Tennessee, Kentucky, Bigfoot. You know, I'll spot check, you know, several different people, but mostly what I'm doing is getting background just in case. You know, I'm by myself on the mountains all the time, and I want to know information about anything and everything that I might run across. Poisonous snakes, bears, and
Sure.
Bigfoot, you know.
Right. No, I get that. The reason I was asking is because I heard a story just last night from Cam Buckner that for the first time ever, they pinpointed it right exactly where I grew up, like exactly. I was sitting there listening to the story, and it was so detailed. It was like that's the route I ran when I was in the Army. I lived right up, maybe 2-3 miles at the most up the road. My high school.
Cam Buckner's it's on Dixie Cryptid. It was called the
The Mount Vernon Monster. It's a. It's,
Wow.
She went to Mount Vernon High School.
I graduated Mount Vernon High School and born in DC and raised some. Yeah.
Every time he said something, she's like, "I know where that is. I that's my stomping grounds." And blah, 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 blah.
And I was kind of out there. I was kind of out there Friday night, right before I
Yeah.
flew out. I was out there, just kind of, yeah. But it was amazing to me to hear, and they've deemed it a Bigfoot, the Mount Vernon monster. There's, they claim they have audio. There's one claim of a photo, but I haven't seen the photo yet. Or actually, it was 59 seconds of a 8 millimeter film, and one frame. There's a still shot of what somebody claims is they caught the picture of the Mount Vernon monster.
We didn't see that.
I didn't see that. I just saw the article this afternoon, and
Oh, okay.
I stopped reading, laid down, took a nap.
Yeah, there was like at the Washington Post, there was an article back in, and this was 1970.
Fairfax County Police were involved. There were police reports where it was rumored that the Fairfax County told the people that were calling about the monster, the noises, just ignore it. Don't pay any attention to it. And then they ended up doing an investigation. And apparently there's a BFRO report that it's just recent, actually. That was the end of Cam's. Yeah, it was just interesting to me that I knew exactly. I was like, that's home. That's kind of where I just was the other night. Yeah.
Well, for that reason, I need to listen to it just so I can get some background. And if I have any questions, then I can ask you.
You sure can. As far as the area, it's funny that, I grew up there. I never heard of the Mount Vernon monster, but the story goes back to 1975. I moved into the area in 1980. So growing up, you'd have thought I'd heard something about it being all over the papers, local papers, national, actually. They said it was a national headline of a story that there's a Bigfoot out there. And they call it the Mount Vernon monster. It's like, wow.
I remember.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, and I didn't even have my experience there. That's the funny thing. It was further south in Virginia, but further south, way further south.
Go ahead,
sorry.
I remember hearing the Patterson film back when I was a kid, hearing about it and then seeing it on television. And then about 15 years ago, they did a study of the video where they stabilized everything and they digitized it so they could zoom in. And I mean, they were talking about the hair flopping at the right time and place, the muscle underneath the hair. They could see the movement and everything. Little details that nobody would have thought of in the 60s that anyone would be able to see in the video that they were using, the film. And I don't understand why that has not, pretty much sealed the deal with the evaluation that they gave that film. And as many people as said that it is real, I just don't understand. Sometimes,
what are you having trouble with? People?
Well,
I mean, because it's people that don't understand. They don't want.
There's always going to be a skeptic. There's always going to be.
I don't understand how they can deny that information, though. I mean, that is
about that information.
It baffles me too. The science.
I care about it. I mean, I think it's a great film.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's never been. It's as much scrutiny as it's been under. It's never been debunked.
Right. And that's something.
King, how are you, buddy? Good to see you.
That's something I've been seeing for the last several years, and a lot of times in history, something that was called paranormal, it was only paranormal until science caught up.
Right.
And I think there's a lot of things that go under the paranormal banner that one day science is going to catch up, and I think Bigfoot's going to be one of them.
I think it's
that's a matter of just disclosure. They know they exist.
Mike, excuse me. Jeff said it, Pine Island Research. Good to see you.
What's up, Jeff?
Sometimes it's not people that deny things, it's their agenda.
That's true too. And there's a lot of behind the scenes agendas going on these days.
Think?
Yeah, right. Well,
So-
it's my hope that people like Jeff that are out there exploring the scientific side of
Michelle
it.
says my husband is a skeptic, and after seeing the PG film and meeting Bob Gimlin, he's pretty much a believer in it.
Cool.
I have a good idea, but I don't know that I believe. You know, like belief to me
It's
is a little
fascinating.
too. But I want him to exist. That shit.
Well, whenever I walk through the woods and I'm doing any of the videos, I do my best to make sure that it's clear and a decent resolution, so that if something does come on camera, there's no question about it. You know, not blurry.
Yeah, when with your videos, when you told me like change the settings to like what was it 1080
At the least.
the high def, yeah, and or I put up to 14 something, and it was just awesome. It just looked so clear, and I was like, damn.
Put you right there.
And I don't have to worry about shaking the camera with the 360 because it's looking everywhere anyway.
Yeah,
You know, when I'm doing it with the phone,
Well,
I've got a
no
kind of steady.
frame.
Yeah. So, but the only thing about the 360 is the amount of time to upload the videos.
Yeah, that's because that, like I said, that is so much data.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Well, somebody out in chat, come on up.
Well, you asked for it.
Yeah.
What's up, Pat?
Right.
Hey, Pat.
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Am I coming through okay?
Yeah.
You are.
Sweet. So what's last thing I heard, because I had to bump out, like I have to bump out to like get in, obviously. Is that something about belief in Bigfoot, or you don't have belief
Oh
in Bigfoot?
no, I'm a healthy skeptic.
Right.
You know,
yeah.
but I've only because I've had experiences in other like paranormal stuff. You know, like spirits and shit. So I know that exists. So why wouldn't I can't say flesh and blood doesn't, or whatever they might, if they are, if there is woo involved, I'm not going to say it doesn't exist. I've experienced woo. So,
Yeah.
But as far as belief goes, belief to me is more religious or I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I've always kind of like, I've never liked that word in the Bigfoot world or attached to the subject because it requires faith. Like you're saying, like religious, like it's a faith thing, which we do see a lot of in the community.
Yeah, there's a lot of faithful people in this community, but not just, I mean, in general, in God and Jesus, and not just, Bigfoot.
Spiritual.
We put out more prayers in this in this channel than
Indeed.
everybody would need a prayer. So
I meant specifically towards the Bigfoot subject, but I mean I'm like almost kind of done with it, but it's just at the end of the day, it always comes back around to this head scratcher. And I'm like, why is it a head scratcher? Because really, honestly, an undiscovered primate shouldn't be all that much of a head scratcher.
you would think.
Yeah, you would.
But what about their agenda? They don't want to be seen if they do exist. They don't. They
Exactly.
want nothing to do with
That
human
doesn't fit
beings.
the narrative. That's the problem.
the fact that they do get seen,
You know,
you know,
yeah, it's like, I mean, you know, the idea that you could plop down within 200 yards of a Bigfoot is kind of silly, is if they're the most rare and elusive creature to ever exist in modern history, you know, like none of those things add up. So that's what I mean. That's why at the end of the day, 10 years, dude, I've been doing this, and I'm just right back where I started. I'm like, why are people like Jeff saying that they just face to face with this thing in the middle of the day? Like, what is that? And I can't answer that question, honestly. I don't know.
what do you mean? What is that? Like,
Yo, what
I
is
mean,
it? I know what it looks like, but like, what is it actually? Because
oh,
I
is
can't.
it the missing link? Is it okay? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, no idea.
I know it looks like a primate. Like, I get that it sort of meets the definition, you know. But if it comes from Planet Hairtron, then is that meet the definition of a primate? You know, like not.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
think. You know,
If it comes from Planet Hairtron, I want a trip to that planet so maybe they can restore my hair.
there you go. There you go, Jim.
You want to
That's
be
a good way
taller
of looking
too?
at it. I like your
I,
optimism.
I wouldn't mind being taller at 5'7". Yeah,
Me neither.
I could stand to be a little bit taller.
Yeah. Maybe
Figure why we're at it.
yeah, broader shoulders. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not afraid to admit that I'm bald on top and just a little old mountain man.
Ain't nothing wrong with that, Jim. I'm right behind you, brother. Right
I
behind
was
you.
busy for a second. I was picking my nose. Oh, that would be an abnormal investigation. Yes, picking your nose.
Yeah. It's a.
Did he pick a wide nose or did he pick a narrow nose? Which one did he choose?
The hell is that from?
You know, if I may, guys and gals, Stevie, like my observations of late have been, I've come to this like interesting sort of observation of like it's so much camaraderie around this subject, and that camaraderie is real powerful. It's very, very powerful, and lately some of the shows that I've caught, it's all about that. It's all about, hey, we're hanging out, we're gonna do a get together, we love this subject, we're gonna meet at the conference, we're meeting people that we only ever knew on the internet, and we get to meet them in real life, and that's neat and fun. And it's all based around this subject, and I just see a lot of human camaraderie. It has nothing to do with the actual phenomena.
You just described this channel.
Basically.
Well, yeah, that happens here
This
too.
channel never claimed to be a Bigfoot
No.
channel.
No,
No,
never.
I know, and
Yeah.
you're not, because we could talk motorcycles and fishing and
But
motley
it does
crew.
come up more than other
Yeah.
subjects
But
on it.
it is within the Bigfoot community.
It is.
Yes, there's a lot of Bigfooters here. Yeah,
Yes. And you know, hey, I've said it. I said it the other day. I'll say it again. If it wasn't Bigfoot, changed my life.
Mind you.
I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Bigfoot. I wouldn't be in my house. I wouldn't be in Florida. I wouldn't, you know.
yes,
And I wouldn't be sitting here right next to him.
exactly.
It's
Yeah,
interesting.
hovered around that. What is the subject matter of Bigfoot?
Yeah. As far as the researchers go, you know, keep researching. I don't, you know, that's all people can do. You know, if people have film that they don't want to show, they don't want to, you know, tell their stories. You know, you know damn well there's great footage out there somewhere.
I don't know that.
People are afraid to show it.
I get why that could be imagined, that's the fact, but I don't know that to be true at all. I mean, it just depends on how many. Like, if there's 2 people that have great footage, then I can see the odds of them not wanting to release it. But if there's 10, oh, they're going to take that money on the table.
Well,
Like-
no, I'm just saying. I'm sure people would. Yeah.
Yeah,
just
it's
for the money.
Yeah.
What's up, Jeff?
Hey guys,
Hey, what's
Good
up,
to
Jeff?
see you,
How you
Jeff.
doing?
my mic working tonight?
Yeah, it is.
You sound good.
Perfect. How are you
Which-
guys?
Good. Scott says, why do older people deal with tooth pain? Because we're older people.
Older people deal with more than just tooth pain.
Everything.
I learn every day. I got something else to add to the list, man. Tooth pain's like number 110 right now.
Oh God, until it happens. The worst pain I ever had in my life was.
Oh, definitely was mine. I was out.
I know
in
your
the,
story, Jeff. Yes.
I was out in the field and pulled the molar out with a fucking screwdriver. So
Yeah, you did a castaway or whatever. Like you
Mhm.
pulled
Ice
the
skate.
base.
Oh,
It was exactly like that.
Yeah.
And when
That's
it was
great.
out, it was instant relief. I mean, like somebody turned the switch off. Crazy.
Yes. Yeah, that is. I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do, right?
Kids, Jeff is a professional. Do not try that at home.
Sharon Guy says, Bigfoot has brought us all together. Goes to show you God can use anything to put people together.
Exactly.
It's definitely, like I said, it's definitely a thing, and I've noticed it more and more lately. It's almost like the camaraderie is building higher and stronger or something because people
Well,
are really
it's become more accepted. You know,
Yeah.
people are.
and people are putting together these like hangouts, and they're usually like at campgrounds and stuff. Like, so the conferences are starting to shift. We might be losing me. The conferences are starting to shift out into the woods, actually.
No, the conferences will still be conferences. It's
Yeah.
just that it's these other channels that are sponsoring these
Yeah.
meet and greets. You know,
Yeah.
it's not the channels that I mean. There are channels that are at these conferences, but
Mhm.
like I went the first Bigfoot conference I went to. YouTube wasn't the main group.
No.
There were a few people that were from YouTube, and everybody else like they were there for Bigfoot. It had nothing to do with YouTube. It was weird. Not weird. It was like I expected a bigger presence because of what I'm used to here on YouTube. But, I just figured it'd be a lot more of those people in it.
Yeah,
It
by the second one, it was more meeting with people and not so much the speakers.
I mean, we met a bunch of people from YouTube, but it
Oh yeah,
wasn't.
yeah. No, I'm saying the
It
second
didn't
one.
dominate
No.
the conference.
No.
And I don't know if I really expected it to or something. I don't know why, but it's just.
I know there are a lot more meet and greets, and it's becoming an annual thing.
And
for
they're
some.
fun.
Yeah,
You
they
know?
are actually.
I threw one in Arizona, and I've been. I haven't been to. I went to. It wasn't a meet and greet. It was just you came up and Barry came up to LBF.
Oh yeah.
I've been to campouts in Tennessee. With and that was sponsored by other channels.
Okay.
I think they're great. And there's I don't know. It's hard as far as getting quality. I'm going to insult somebody. I don't want to do it. As far as researchers go, to me, a researcher really doesn't need need anything to do with YouTube.
No.
Right. Yeah.
I think real people who are really trying to access information, and I'm not saying just that they're here and have an interest in that. I'm talking about boots on the ground, march, trying to do something to put this mystery to an end. Don't see any value in YouTube. In fact,
Right.
I've seen out of the 100+ guests that I've interviewed on my show, I had so many of them that I thought, man, this person's got great ideas. They've got great skill sets. They've got great experience in life that I think I consider them maybe a front runner, so to speak, in the betting odds of where will they help us get closer, right? And I don't know how many of them, but the overwhelming majority over the last couple of years, I've seen do nothing to get closer. And in fact, all they've done is make themselves more accessible to the mobs of people. They do nothing but go to shows. They keep writing books. They sign autographs. For $175, you can go on a 2-day hike with them. You can go eat dinner with them. They've done nothing but leverage this. And, I don't want to use it fame or fortune, because I don't think there's a lot of money in it. And I don't think it's outside of this micro niche we exist in here.
As far as fame,
there's not much fame to be had. Okay.
Yeah.
But I don't see them positioning themselves in the field getting closer to finding answers. They're just going to more conferences, bloviating their opinions out to people, trying to get more people to subscribe to their thoughts, not solving anything.
Yeah.
And that by far has expanded.
Yeah, it's entertainment. It's what it is. And I mean, entertainment's entertainment,
And I think
people want to be entertained.
The few people that I know that really are trying to do something different or do something that they honestly believe has a chance of getting us somewhere, I think they are doing the opposite of all those people. They're walking away from the crowd. They aren't going to the conferences, and they don't see the value in putting a spotlight on every day's work that they're doing, because there isn't. There's nothing positive that comes from that. I believe the only way you can get to the right answers that we're looking for is to get outside of this community and partner with people in science and people who have these skill sets that we could work beside without an agenda. But the problem is the more you focus it in this community on what you're doing, the more those people don't want to have anything to do with you.
Absolutely.
They don't. Nothing.
Bigfoot King, what's up, buddy?
Hey.
Not too much. It's nice to see everybody.
Good to see you. How you been?
Very busy. Very busy. Very busy.
Or should I say, where have you been?
Lots has happened, you guys, since our last video. And I was just on the ferry coming across, and you came up on my phone, and I thought, it's been so long since I talked to you guys. I just thought I'd come on and give you a little bit of a lowdown on what's happening.
We'd love to hear it.
Well. I'm using my phone, obviously, but since our last conversation that we had, I was saying I was looking at closing down the businesses and starting a new stage. Well, I was contacted just shortly after I went on that trip there that you and Stevie asked from a couple of gentlemen they're from a different country, and they bought everything that I had as far as footage goes, and we just signed contracts about 2 weeks ago, and I've given them 2 years, and that'll be 6 trips, and the next trip is the Bigfoot King is going into the Headless Valley, so that's the next one.
You're going to Nahini, and what is it? Nahini?
Yeah, I can't pronounce it.
How do you pronounce the name of that valley?
Nahani.
Nahani.
Yeah. Well, it's actually the Upper Nahani is where we're going. I've just got off. Let's see, 28 days of research right now. I'm just headed back. A lot of the conditions that they required was, believe it or not, medical. And I don't know if you can tell right now, but I've dropped about 65 pounds.
You look thinner, dude.
You do.
You do. You look good.
Thanks, man. It's been a hard row. That's full medical makeup was required. So they purchased everything that I had. I was really reluctant to sell, but the price was right. So I did it. And then they picked me up for 2 years. So I promised them I can still do my YouTube thing, which I haven't really been paying much attention to be honest with you. I just haven't had the time. But this 28 days, 27 days that I've been just on was a grueler. And I went back up into the Toba Inlet area, took a sailboat, rented a sailboat, hired a sailboat and a captain, and we went up there, and I got some crazy stuff, you guys. But, I mean, as far as I've just heard your guys, the members of your panel here chatting away, and I just used to say, I just wanted to jump in and say, like, we're past filming. Right? We're past the still pictures. We're past that. I'm going to get contact, guys. I'm just letting you know. I'm going to get contact.
Be careful.
Yeah. You going to bust it wide open?
I'm going to what?
Are you going to bust it wide open?
Bust it wide open.
Well, I don't know if the video has been put out yet, and I'm not sure. I've got a tech with me right now. Obviously, we're going over sort of what I can use, what I can't use at this point. But I did go up to the Ministry of Forestry and the Parliament buildings. I had a meeting with him on my last trip that I went out with when you and Stevie asked me, hey, man, why don't you check that out? Or sort of insinuated that there's some type of thing going on out there, which I really appreciate that, because that's what really started this ball rolling. So now I'm jobless, companyless, but
Little more
if they're
time.
going to pay for my time, and I'm committed to 2 years to do it, and they get everything, but I can still do my YouTube stuff.
Right
So
on.
we'll just see what goes in that respect. New machines, it's new. Everything's new to me, especially now. Like, I mean, now I sort of have to, I'm really having a hard time getting used to the filming. Like, I had 2 or 3 people the last time, like when I first started going out, but this time it's a little bit more, and to be honest with you, it's very maddening. I find myself fighting with them more than agreeing with them, to be honest with you.
I'm sure.
I'm so excited to come back on here with you guys, because it's pushing in a crazy direction right now. Crazy direction.
Crazy.
So I'm going to push, I don't want blurry video. I don't want video at all, to be honest with you, but I know that it has to be part of the whole situation, but there is going to be contact. I have a really good feeling there's going to be contact. I didn't go through all of this not to.
All right. So is this in the U.S. or Canada?
I am in Canada right now. The investors are not from the U.S.
That's fine. I'm saying this area that you have narrowed down is in Canada.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So you know where Bigfoot is, correct?
He didn't say that.
Well, I mean,
He said there's no contact, so
that's a pretty big statement. Do I know where he is? My research and the stuff that I've been doing for the last, 20 years on my own, without any YouTube or anything else like that, or filming or whatever, that research that I've been doing, I've got a trackway, and it goes right from Alaska right down into Oregon.
So if you feel that you're this close to face, you're never going to be without a camera and extra batteries, right?
It's funny that you say that, because now the battery packs that are on board now it's out of my league. Everything's out of my league. Now we're into solar panels and I don't know.
That's
It's
the element.
Wait.
it's a ton of gear. I just want to show you this. I don't know if I can step out of the truck right now, but I'm just going to show you that the damage that I did to my truck. Now this is a 350 1-ton V10, right? Watch, check this out. I don't know if I'm going to freeze or what I'm going to do.
Hold on. I want to back up a minute here. Did you just say you have a trackway from Alaska to Oregon? That's about 1,000 miles, right?
I don't think I can hear you right now.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah, but
He's showing the
everybody
damage.
me, right? So he just claims he has 1,000-mile trackway. Like, that's pretty impressive. Like, I can't even wrap my head around that. What does that mean?
Yeah, I don't. Okay, so here's what I'm struggling with.
All right, hold on. Wait. He thinks he's talking. He thinks we can hear him. We can't hear you.
He probably can't hear
You're
us.
probably muted. I think you muted yourself.
I think when he got out, he unplugged something.
Something.
He unplugged his mic from his.
I mean,
He might be,
I mean that.
he might be Bluetooth to his truck.
I mean,
If he's Bluetooth to his truck,
Alaska over
he
claim.
can lose it.
I mean, Alaska to Oregon.
We can't hear you. Can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Now I can.
No.
Yeah, he's Bluetooth to his truck.
no, I got
You
you.
got speakers in the truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got hooked up to the truck mic is why you guys didn't hear me. I'm just not running on the phone. So anyway, that truck there, there's a quad in the back and all the gear, but I had to store the quad on the island when I got back because the strap on the quad pounded that box so hard that it actually pinched it at the top
Oh, wow.
and bent my box. So I had to get rid of the quad for the way back, but I've still got another week in Pemberton and Lillooet. That's where I'm going to end up, which is just out of Norreg.
When are you
In
doing?
Canada.
When are you doing the Headless Valley trip?
This is my next plan. I should be ready to go by February, I'm thinking.
That's a hell of a time to go up there.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. But I think it's going to be easier to get in there, Mog, than, I'm going overland. I'm not flying, right? I'm taking a trip to get into the valley that hasn't been done since 1908, 1904, somewhere in there.
Oh wow, really? You're not.
So we're going to go.
Todd Standing's area, are you?
I'm not getting up into the what?
Todd Standing's area. You're not like encroaching on his territory there.
No.
Well, as far as I know, he doesn't have a territory, and as far as I know, I'm basically free to go where I want to go. I am the king, after all, right?
Well, I mean, he's supposedly Todd Standing's actually on private land out there in Radium. So.
Well, I don't. I'm not doing a Todd Standing thing, or it's not anything like that. I don't take people out on the weekends. I don't do stuff like that. I just got a feeling that it's time to go. I'm trying to get together some kind of.
What
pardon?
is your goal? What is your goal? What's your
I want to
goal?
reach and touch. I want to touch his hand. I want to do an old Indian. I want to do an old Indian coup, pal.
Are you going to film it?
I'm going to film it.
Okay. That'll be huge. That would be.
It'll
huge.
be huge, in the sense is it's going to be solved.
Right.
Not that they're there or not. I know that they're there.
You're gonna solve.
But
What are you
the thing
gonna
is to solve it.
You're gonna solve
But
what they are. What they are.
I'm gonna solve it once and for all for the science community to make sure that now it's done. Do you see them now? Do you see me now?
But
This
Well,
isn't going to be.
Can I
It's
ask
not
you
going
a
to be.
question?
Sure, boss.
Okay, so regardless of where you're at or what you do to get yourself in the position to accomplish that, when you reach your hand out and touch its hand, the affirmation that you have that these exist, and I say this because I was very close distance wise to where you're trying to get from one. So for you to, the affirmation you would have in that moment in your mind that this is 100% real, the purpose for the cameras is to get anybody viewing this the same level of affirmation. Okay. It can't be, it has to be beyond question. You've got to see it from below the heel to the above the head, not part of it. You can't see a hand and an arm, but not the face. You can't see it from one angle, but never see it from the other angle. There's so many things that will come into the viewer being able to say, and when I say the viewer, what you're discussing is not everybody we're out here talking to, the scientific community, right?
Absolutely.
They're the ones that
100%.
need to see it and say, I am affirmed that that's real to the same degree that he was when he stood there. I have a real hard time figuring out how you get there with camera and video or anything like that.
I think the camera work, will be the most difficult thing, but I think the easy thing is going to be able to stand in front of them and poke them in the belly button.
You know,
That's gonna
when I started this, when I started doing research, I started looking at the evidence, what we're out trying to collect, right? And there was these compartments that I considered the holy grail. If you could get video evidence, if you could get audio evidence, and if you could get DNA evidence, you know, the touch, the sound, the vision, right? But if you could get more than one of those, I mean,
Yes.
that's where all of a sudden one collaborating evidence supports the other. And we start getting definitive to where science has a hard time breaking this down to a non-believer standpoint. When you look at Patterson, the thing that's so interesting about the PG film is they had the video and they could have captured, had it been today instead of 60 years ago, they knew exactly where it took every step. Had they known about DNA, they would have had DNA from the Patterson site. And they would have had better audio. They wouldn't have had audio of them talking. They would have had audio probably of this thing or another one in that area or that evening or something sounding off. Or they would have had audio recorders in that area prior to them riding in. I'm just saying they accomplished the Holy Grail and didn't realize it. Because since then, everything we've looked at, whether it's Todd Standing's garbage or the Freeman film or anything else, you have video but not audio. You got the Sierra sounds. I've got audio but not video. Neither of those I have DNA. It's like if you could create a moment to where when you touch that thing's hand, it's not just on film, but you could get a skin oil sample collected on something that's testable. Now all of a sudden you're dealing with two categories of evidence that science has to trip over. Because if it's just going to be video, they're going to stomp it. I don't give a shit how good it is. It's not going to be good enough. If you could get it to make an audible sound that when they analyze it, it shows that these are vocal cord ranges that a human couldn't make, or something like that. Now all of a sudden, you've got two supporting categories.
See, now you've touched base on a perfect example of what I'm saying, is that everybody says, oh, they crack trees, or oh, this is the sound of a Bigfoot. Nobody's got his lips moving with the sound. Nobody's seen him crack a tree. Nobody's seen him do that kind of stuff. That's what you need to do. You need to film them doing things. Believe me, they've got a whole system that we have no idea. The only thing I want to come across is what are they drinking? What do they have for fun? They got to have fun.
You want to know how they have fun?
How they
What's their
amuse?
day-
I would say how they maybe preoccupy themselves or how they amuse themselves. You know, because
I got a
the
good
one
guess
thing that
about
I
that.
broke down is that when you start talking about a clan of these things, whether it's 3 of them, 5 of them, 8 of them, whatever. When you have a juvenile who's maybe curious and a little more expressive and a little less guarded, I don't think that moment in their life lasts very long. And I say that because when my boys were growing up, I could drive them to karate lessons, I could drive them to soccer practice, I could whatever, right? What these things do in their spare time, they teach each other to survive, and that's it. Daddy Bigfoot ain't driving little juvenile Bigfoot to soccer practice. He's teaching him how to move A to B without making sound. He's teaching him how. That's all they do. Is the number one priority of survival is elusivity, and they are doing nothing but teaching their young how to do that. So when people say, well, maybe it was a juvenile, I'll tell you what, it'd have to be a real small juvenile, because I think they learn very quickly these lessons because they're taught them 365 days a year.
Well, you're going into another part of the research was mammalian traits, right? And that's something that a deer does. That's something that a bear does. That's something that that's what humans do. There is a time for play, right? There is a time for play, but I just wanted to lay this on you guys, okay? I'm keeping track of all the fires. I'm keeping track of all the floods, all the berries, when they're ripening, the elk trails, the grizzly bear trails. It goes on and on. That's plastered all over the place there. I have a strong belief right now that we're going to have, it's almost a war. We've got clans in Canada. We've got clans in the States. We've had heavy fires. If you go and map out the fire regions and the flood regions that we've had, it's driving them north. I feel. This is my own personal thing here. It's driving them north, and we're going to have a mix. They're going to have a conflict between the southern and the northern. And what the northern are, if we have any recollection, or if we go through the stories or how they're meant to act, say the Alaskan ones, they're supposed to be very vicious. They're not there to play. They're not there to watch. They're there to hurt you. They're your food. Plain and simple. Just like 90% of the stories, right, from Alaska area. Now we've got everything coming up from the south, which are more calm. They're a little smaller than the ones that are on the Oregon coast, right? They're a little smaller. The ones up in Alaska are massive. They're the biggest of the biggest. And I think we're going to have
I believe all the way through. My opinion is that and I've looked at hundreds upon hundreds of these Class A encounters. I'm not talking about one that walked across a road 400 yards away for 2 seconds. I'm talking about the encounters where people get very descriptive. And you're right, down in the south, quite a bit smaller. But we see that in other vertebrate mammals too. shoot a
Absolutely.
7-year-old buck white-tailed deer in Alabama and shoot a 7-year-old buck white-tailed deer in North Dakota, and it's 40% bigger, and it's the exact same DNA strain. Okay,
Yeah.
Exactly.
so
Perfect.
the idea of having to survive in those northern climates where 40% of the year is 0 degrees or colder in most of those areas, the anabolic rate and the metabolic rate that it takes, the calorie burn, all of that, you would have to exist in that 9 to 10 foot tall range as an adult male and probably carry 800 to 1,000 pounds versus in Florida, the tallest you hear them explained in the southern states is maybe 7.5, 8 foot, maybe weighed 500 pounds. I mean, they aren't describing these same things for the most part.
No, and I feel that they're way off on the weight.
Yeah. Up in Alaska, my family and myself has made a couple decades living at guiding hunters for big game hunting. And one of the most famous grizzly guides up in Alaska is Billy Moles. And I've met him several times. And I've looked at a grizzly that he shot that was a record grizzly. It was almost 10.5 foot tall. And it weighed around 1,200 pounds, 1,180 some pounds. And
My
when
point
this thing's
exactly.
on its back and you look at what 10 foot tall looks like and the body mass that's described in these things, what I saw, there was no hourglass. The width at the shoulders and the hips was the same through the belly and the chest. This thing was massive. And you look at the way that 10 foot tall grizzly's built and the body weight it carries, there's no way that what I saw could have weighed less than 800 pounds. There's just no way it could have.
Well, that's sort of what I'm saying. Like, I mean, you got this. Somebody else mentioned Todd Standing, right? And he's at the 500-600 pound mark. He's on glue. They're not 500-600 pounds, pal. This is a beast.
And like I say, you see one down in Texas where they have to. Okay, first of all, up north, I believe their hair is more follicles per square inch. They have to insulate their body. Down south, where it's 100 degrees or more for half the year, a lot of times in a lot of these climates, or at least over 85, they have to ventilate their body, not insulate it. So they're carrying a leaner build. They're carrying less follicles per square inch of hair so that they can ventilate their body and not insulate it. It's a completely different build. If you took a southern Bigfoot and somehow put it in Alaska, or if it was to somehow miraculously migrate that far, I don't think it could survive. I don't think it could adapt. I think it would take several generations of them to make up those little things of it needs more follicles per square inch. It needs more body mass. I think it takes several generations to get to where you can do that.
No.
You take a deer from Alabama and let it go up in Manitoba and see how long it will die its first winter, guaranteed.
Absolutely. But
I would probably agree with you there.
I have a question about that, Jeff. And so I've been pondering the warmth factor, and to be honest with you, dude, it's moisture that kills. Nothing will get you hypothermic quicker than moisture any time of year, even in the middle of summer. And I don't understand how these things could possibly, like even down south, it could be November and it might be 48 degrees outside. But when you add moisture into that situation, I don't see how these things, they're naked, they have hair, they don't have fur like a deer or a bear.
But then again, the descriptives of this, when you hear them describing ones up north, Pat, the hair hanging off the arms, 8-10 inches long, and it's thick and it's matted. It obviously has a coat that is made to insulate, not ventilate. And even the hair on the head, the descriptives of what people are describing, this hair will hang down and drape down. Descriptions of these down in the southern states, 90% of the time are it had shorter hair on the top of its head. They don't
Yeah, I know,
describe it
but
as having Bob
Well, just-
Marley hairdos.
No, but I mean, just look at Patty. Just look at Patty. The more northern you go, the body morphs into shaggy, right? Even if you look at the Kodiak bear, you look at a grizzly bear from the mountain, and you look at just a plains grizzly, right? The hair changes, it's subtle changes, the fat content changes. Now, I don't know about the follicles per square inch, but there would definitely be some type of fatty tissue that they would hold a little more. Like there's fat sacs in a deer. You smack a deer, you don't want to stress them out. You just want to smack them and eat them, right? You stress them out, the meat goes bad. It's possible that that's a fatty tissue that. See, this is the thing. I don't personally want to shoot anything, right? I carry firearms just in case something tries to attack me. That's it. I just want, like when you're saying that there needs to be a multiple cameras. If I have a camera and I can get contact and I'm close enough to see the hair on his nuts, the scientific community can't change that anymore. It's done. We have enough DNA. We have enough hair. We got enough footprints. We got enough shaky shit.
We don't have any DNA. What are you
Yeah,
talking about?
there's
zero.
That's what I'm working with my research right now.
No. We do have a ton of DNA, but you have to put it in the right perspective when we say we have Bigfoot DNA. No, we don't have technically Bigfoot DNA because we don't have a Bigfoot to compare it to, but we have DNA that's unexplained. There's the problem.
And you should take all that unexplained DNA and compare it to each other.
No. Yeah, there's zero DNA that exists anywhere in the DNA record that's any kind of head scratching branch of primate that science is just baffled by. That doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's not. I know, but there's the confusion. It's not a primate.
But then what is it?
Well, and you're talking about
That's what we gotta find out.
If you want to talk about Martha and everything else,
primate, what are you saying it is? We're
if you want to talk about Martha and everything else with the DNA, you're talking about long enough ago that it's so obsolete in the conversation. The technology that exists today, if these things are real, I'm going out in 7 different locations now, and I'm collecting between 1,400 and 3,000 mosquitoes that have fed on vertebrate mammal blood hosts in very remote areas where there aren't any humans. And 4 of those 7 are
very difficult and expensive research, boy. Woo!
It is. And I partnered with 2 different labs at 2 major universities with no agenda. You know how I did it? I got scientists involved that said, whether we come up with evidence that supports the likelihood or whether we come up with evidence that supports the unlikelihood, it doesn't matter. They're welcome to take whatever evidence there is, and if they want to be the labs that put the thumbs up or the thumbs down to whether or not this thing exists, I'm not pushing them either direction. Okay, that's how you get science to work with you. When you show up with a checkbook saying, here's the outcome I want, that's the problem. And that's been every scientific, anybody from this community that's paired with anybody outside this community in the science world has wrote a check with an agenda, and it's bullshit. Every single one has. Nobody's ever worked with the scientific community from this community without trying to force them in their corner of the room.
I'm in agreement, sir, and there is my struggle.
I've created a situation where they can stand in whatever corner they want to.
By the way, just so everybody understands, Jeff is talking about traps that already exist.
So this is a DNA study. So this is a study that was done a year and a half, 2 years ago. in Northern California that was done throughout Oregon and Northern California, where they wanted to find out if there was virus transfer taking place amongst vertebrate mammals. So they collected DNA from the mosquito traps, looked at which ones fed on a blood host within the last 12 hours, pureed that mosquito up. There was 4 different species of mosquitoes. First, they'd identify which ones so they could subtract that from the DNA return. And they would take the DNA of the blood host and say that was a mule deer, or that was a rabbit, or that was a whatever. And they would look and tell from that blood sample what viruses existed in that animal. And they could tell if a mule deer was transferring a virus to a fox, let's say, in that area. They've already been doing this. They've been doing this for 2 years. And it used to be where they'd take that mosquito and put it in a little machine in a lab, and it'd take like 17 minutes to get an answer. They've got it down to 5 minutes now, and these labs got 8 machines in them. So they can run close to 500-600 samples a day, saying, here's 112 black bear, here's 37 red foxes, and you know what? If we test 10,000 samples this summer and there's not a Bigfoot or a part human, part unknown primate drop in any of those, we got a problem. We got a big problem at that point.
Yeah. You're simply asking them to explore the primate. They were throwing out primate.
But to answer your question that you brought up earlier, King, is let's suppose I get out of 1,400 samples I collect in northern Manitoba, let's say I get 4 of them that are part human, part unknown primate, or part whatever, okay? They're just not human, but they aren't known. And all of a sudden I get a sample from Washington State, and I get a sample from Alaska, and I get a sample from northern BC, and all of those DNA sequence barcodes match. Now all of a sudden we've shown that science doesn't know what to name it because they don't have a body of a Bigfoot to compare it to. But they can show that they've got an animal existing out there that has human-like DNA sequences in that barcode that match in multiple areas. That's harder to deny than any video you will ever shoot.
It's going to be very difficult to do. It's very difficult to do. And, you know, like when we're talking about DNA and we're talking about the science of it all, when I signed the contracts here a couple of weeks ago, finished signing, it's a mound of friggin' people and a mound of paper. Let me just tell you that, first of all. But, I mean, I hassled my way through it. I am a boots on the ground guy. That's it. That's all I am. I'm nothing. I'm not a scientist or anything. All I know is that for my library and my personal office to the stuff that's out there now, they want. And there's a reason that they want it.
Yeah.
And
Am I coming off as pissed off or something? What's Miss Dill saying? I need to lighten up.
No, you're not coming off pissed off or anything. You're not coming off pissed off.
I'm pretty passionate about what I'm working on.
So
maybe that's
you're not coming off. You're not coming off pissed off. Or you're not coming off mad or disruptive or mean or anything. You're just coming across very knowledgeable, and I love that. Like myself, it's become maybe not the main thing in my life, but I'll tell you what, it's running a close second, and especially now because, first of all, you know, everybody can do, hey, Bigfoot King, you sold out or whatever you did there, but money talks and bullshit walks, and I've done enough pictures and photographs, and I've been to the ends of the earth a couple of times. scared the shit out of me. I've shit my pants. Let's put it that way. And they want to know why I'm shitting my pants. I can take them there. If you want to be scared, I'm going to take you there. And this Nahanni trip, I'm going to tell you something. If something doesn't happen with this Nahanni trip, either somebody's going to pick up the footage, National Geographic's going to get it, or somebody. Like, I'll sell it. I don't really care. But I know that there's going to be some issues that are solved.
Let me ask you
I got a
this,
wee
Bigfoot
luck
King.
of the Irish in me.
Hey, let me ask you this, Bigfoot King.
Yes,
what do
sir.
you think what do you think the population of Bigfoot in North America is? I mean, ballpark it.
In North America, how about we just do Canada?
How about North America?
How about he's familiar with
Well,
Canada?
the reason that I want to split those is because if you take a look at I'm sure everybody's heard about the Bering Strait Bridge and all of that kind of stuff. And if you go back to the ice sheets that formed on the coast, and then the ones that formed into, say, the Alberta and BC, where those ice sheets meet the Laurentian and I can't remember the other right off the top of my head. There's an alleyway there, and the alleyway has changed over the centuries. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get that alleyway because they're still using it, and they're still using it today. And then, there's the thing with the Mica Dam up there. The Mica Dam caused us more friggin' problems than anything. And that was back in the 70s when it opened there, BC Hydro. And, the Canadians signed a big contract with the government of the U.S. because we were flooding them out, blah, 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 blah. And they caused a lot of damage by...
When you say
you
that
think
it's changed, is it?
You think they're still coming from Asia into North America?
No, I don't believe that. Well, I mean, they can't get across the Bering Sea anymore. But what I can say is that track is still being used to this day.
When you say it's changed, though, the topography couldn't have changed. The overgrowth and what's on that topography could have. Is that what you're saying?
The topography has changed because of man. We've changed it with our damming procedures. We have flooded out so much of British Columbia because of our fresh water going into the States that was causing massive floods, that we signed this peace treaty with the States, and we had to build this Mica Dam, it's called, if you guys want to do some research into that. And there's so much flooding going on that trackway that things have changed. So they found different branches to come down and go back. Because that goes back to the question that I was just asked. Shane, what do you think the population of North America is? Well, my theory on that, I've got a personal theory, but the thing is that trackway, they're coming up and down that trackway. So the same ones that you're getting in the northern part of or maybe even into the southern, western, they're friggin' everywhere.
You think it's forage driven?
I don't. That's part of my research.
There's only a couple of reasons something's going to travel like that: either to get laid or to eat.
Absolutely.
That's it.
No, you're absolutely right, and that's part of my research. Is that there's communication, and this is what I say. What do they do for fun? I had some Snickers on there. Well, they don't do nothing for fun. They just teach each other bullshit. That's instinctive in our mammalian bodies, in our minds, in our DNA. That's instinctive to survive. Do they pick up traits? Do they pick up traits from their fathers and their forefathers? Absolutely.
In the empty lot across from my house, I had a doe with 3 fawns. She had triplets. Still had spots on them. This was last month. And those fawns were running around chasing each other, hopping around over each other like rabbits, screwing around while she stood there and watched them. Now, was that safe? No, they were in the open. They were exposed. It wasn't necessarily safe, but for whatever reason, that doe looked at her 3 fawns and felt like it was worth letting them do that at that moment rather than putting an end to it.
You know, like this is the other thing, you know, like there is up here, or I should say, yes, up here where, well, not exactly where I am right now, but up here, there's a mountain up here, right? And they're spotted up there in groups. And in these groups, it only happens, we'll say, for lack of a better number, we'll just say every 7 years. You look at salmon, it's a 4-year run.
Sure.
I'm thinking that they also have a run, and that's how they're intermingling their tribes or their clans, or we don't even know what the frick they're called, right? So, but there is a way that they're mixing that blood. And that's why I say with these fires and these floods that BC has had in the last few years, right, are extensive. They're really bad. And they're pushing them, and I'm finding that there's more sightings going on the islands, right from Salt Spring right out to the Straits. They're on the island. They're being pushed in every direction right now, and I think the majority of them are heading up north. And I think you're gonna see that we're going. I would like to be a part of that, to be honest with you. That's sort of what I want to see. I want to see clan on skin. Let's see what's happening here. The toughest will survive. We'll see. And my money's probably on the Alaskan ones, but you don't know.
So let me get that number from you though. What do you think the number is? The population?
I think on any given day, traveling in British Columbia only on my trackway, not Todd Standings and NORAG or anything like that, because I'm not here for a TV show, but I'm just saying, on my trackway that I've sort of mapped out myself, on any given day, there's 5,000.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Now, is that Alaska to Oregon trackway?
Yes, sir, Mug.
That's 1,000
Yes,
miles.
sir. So that goes back to your other guest there. Now, my eyes are really bad, obviously, but this gentleman was saying the ones that are small are down, the farther down on the states that they go. I'm in agreement. There's some change that they're doing for climate, for food, just for sustenance alone changes, right? And I just think I can't track that far down. But I know that there's a mix happening, but I don't know where the mix is happening and how are they communicating together to mix? How are they communicating?
There's going to be an adaptation. We see this in humans, okay? So let's just use humans as the comparable example, since it probably is closest to us out of any existing species at the moment, right? And
even though they put us to shame.
Even when we look at humans, I've used this example all the time. You take some Aborigines down in, the Southern Hemisphere, and all of a sudden Shaquille O'Neal walks into their camp. They don't even recognize him as a human being. The tallest one of them's 4'10", right? Here's this guy who's almost 7.5 foot tall walking in, weighs 4 times the body weight they do. They recognize him as having human characteristics, but they can't by default look at him and say that's a human. I think that's what we're seeing here a lot of times when people say, man, they're huge, they're massive, they have human characteristics, but when you compare southern ones and northern ones, I think that geographically that climate, the sustenance you need to get through a winter in northern Canada,
I know, but let's just stop right there. You get a big buck from northern Canada, and I guarantee you he's going to go where the California girls are. I guarantee.
Well,
that's what's going to happen. Okay?
Well, let me ask you this.
They might be a little smaller. They might be, you don't know, right?
Let me ask you this. I have a theory on the demeanor that you were discussing earlier. I don't subscribe to the whole, I know there's accounts of very aggressive behavior, okay, in the further north, especially up in the Alaska area. However, I've seen accounts of aggression also on ones that are like in the Florida area and stuff too. But I have to look at this and say, what would they consider to be the biggest threat to them? Removing man from that conversation, okay? If they're going to put themselves in remote, elusive areas, what's the biggest threat? When we start talking about Canada, I look at all the different things that exist: mountain lions, grizzly bears, all of that, right? And I start
Which I have had a couple of run-ins just this trip, but anyway, carry on.
What I get down to is, and I say this as being an elk hunting guide from northern Montana, Idaho, in the most remote areas, okay, Manitoba.
That's big game, pal.
I spend 60, 70 nights a year out there in these very remote areas. And one of the things that I see being the hardest for an animal to escape is wolves. You start getting 8, 10, 15 wolves working in a pack.
You know,
I don't care if you're 10 foot tall and 1,200 pounds. You can't fight off 15 wolves.
It's funny that you say that, because I've done research into those mountain lions and the cougar, the mountain cougar.
Mm-hmm.
And what they'll do is, if they get a pack of wolves on them, what they'll do is they'll kill and they'll just move on.
Yeah.
They'll leave the kill and go for the next one.
Yeah.
Because the wolves are just going to take it. So
I've guided lion hunters out in the Black Hills
to shut them up.
I just think that, you know, when you see, one of the things that I noticed when I was in a lot of these areas on the lakes guiding fishermen or out fishing, I see so many bear and deer and moose swimming across the lake, right, to an island, to another shoreline. And you start wondering, what makes a moose stand on a shoreline, look out and say, I'm going to jump in this lake, built the way that I am, and I'm going to swim across this damn thing in case the grass is greener over there. I don't think that happens a lot. I think what we don't see in those remote areas is a pack of coyotes or a pack of wolves chasing a deer, and that deer gets to the water's edge and it doesn't have a choice but to start swimming. And I think that a lot of time puts these animals in that water and gets them swimming. But my point is you get 8, 10, 15 wolves after, I don't care how big you are, you can't alone defend them off. So the need to
30,
exist,
40 of them.
the need to exist in a bigger clan and work together would be more important in these northern territories than it would be, let's say, in Texas. If you're faced off with a mountain lion, if I'm 8 to 10 foot tall and close to 800,000 pounds, I'm not afraid of a mountain lion. Not afraid of one. Not afraid of anything I'm going to come across.
Obvious.
Until I start looking at a grizzly bear, and then I have to start asking, don't you think that a grizzly bear would look at a Sasquatch and have some mutual respect and say the risk isn't worth the reward here? I would think they would both avoid each other equally.
Absolutely.
There's no benefit.
100%. But I will tell you, it's something that, you know, you just said there about the grizzly bear. You know, we've got a decline in black bear population up here. And it's been happening for about 5-6 years now. And we're not having black bears. Too much black bear out here right now, and they're gone somewhere.
I think one of the most interesting things that's happened in the last 2 years is in the areas of Montana, northern remote Montana, is the grizzly bears started moving. They aren't in the mountains. They've moved to the eastern Montana plateaus, the prairie lands. We've got pheasant hunters and grouse hunters walking in 7 foot tall Milo, hunting grouse, coming face to face with full-grown adult grizzly bears. And these grizzly bears, for decades, haven't been there. They've been in the mountain ranges. But here's what's interesting. Hold on, though. I want to make this point.
Just hang on. I just want to make a point, because you made a good point there. The grizzly bear that you're saying was a mountain grizzly are becoming in sections where they're not warranted to be there. It's the same here in Canada. What's happening is that those grizzly bears, they're spotted in northern Alberta. They're spotted in northern Saskatchewan right now. And if you go back in time, we wiped them all out. That's why there was no grizzly bear in Manitoba and Saskatchewan. That's
See, there's
it.
something
went mass hunting.
cyclic to it, though. There's something naturally cyclic to it, I think.
There
And
must
I
be.
say that because if you look at the movie The Reverend, where Hugh Glass has to fight that grizzly bear, right? That takes place in western South Dakota, my home state I grew up in. It's nothing right now but cornfields and little river valleys. Until you get into the Black Hills, which isn't where that happened. That happened in a river valley on an area right now that is almost all farmland in this state. But it was back before anybody was farming it. But those grizzly bears worked those flat areas. They didn't need the mountains to survive. Now here we are the last 60, 70 years, we haven't seen grizzly bears away from mountains. It's all river runoff, mountains, highland, lowland. There's got to be elk herds in those areas to support those grizzly bears or high deer populations. But now all of a sudden they're showing up on these flatlands of Montana, and people, and even the biologists in Montana are sitting here for 2 years going, what is going on? Because they're returning to where they were 130 years ago. And that's weird to me. There's got to be something naturally cyclic happening there.
Yeah, that's direct competition.
And that's a few generations of bears. You know.
Yeah.
And I think a grizzly bear could destroy even a Sasquatch 800-pound primate. I mean, that's like the
well, they've got their teeth and their claws are made for warfare. Okay?
And they're giant, and they're just as big.
They've got the mass to square off, but with those claws and teeth, there's too much risk. There's no reward for a Sasquatch to want to do that.
It's kind of like it's saying Hulk Hogan fighting a black bear. The black bear would completely destroy him.
And a grizzly bear looking at a Sasquatch, I think if these things exist in clans, would over time realize they're not worth messing with. There's usually more than one in the area. If you're a grizzly bear, you might say, I don't have a problem fighting a Sasquatch. What if you had to fight 5 of them? You might want to say not worth it at that point.
Not only that, but you got to look at it from the Sasquatch point of view. If I get a chewed up hand, if I get a broken eye, a broken leg, I can't eat. I can't support
the risk
my
of
family.
Infection, the risk of all that.
Yeah, they're gonna just bypass the whole area. They'll give themselves a wide berth, that's for sure. But I still think that the black bear is food.
If skirmishes were happening between Sasquatch and wolves, or Sasquatch and grizzly bears, or even black bears, there would be so much evidence of that. It wouldn't be funny. I mean.
Well, let's back it up, though. Let's take Sasquatch out of that, because I don't think Sasquatch has any reason to start a skirmish with a pack of wolves. But packs of wolves are having skirmishes with every big game animal in the northern third of North America, or the northern fourth, all the way from Michigan, northern Minnesota, Idaho. The wolves are all over out in Yellowstone, and they're decimating the elk herds. They're wiping out 50% of the elk in these herds over every winter. So there is evidence of it, Pat. They're wiping out total species.
It's even buffalo as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I said, yeah. I mean, what I was referring to is evidence of skirmishes with Sasquatch. There'll be evidence of that.
But Pat, it's only evidence if there's someone there to find it.
Well,
there you go.
Fucking nowhere.
There you go.
If you want to talk numbers, like you asked a question earlier, how many Bigfoot you think are in North America? When you ask how many Bigfoot you think are in North America,
you can't talk over each other, Pat.
What do you think wildlife management does? It's their only job to pay attention to wildlife.
Exactly.
So, again, You know,
when you ask
like,
how many
if these skirmishes
Sasquatch
were
are,
happening, oh my God, they would discover it. Like they wouldn't. This would not go under the radar, and so that's a head scratcher.
okay, so hold on. Let me tell you why it does go under the radar, okay? It goes under the radar because when you ask how many do you think there are in North America, the answer to that is probably in the range of 5% or less of the number of elk there are in America. And I'm not talking about mule deer, white-tailed deer, antelope. I'm just talking one species of forage for wolves, elk, okay? There's maybe at most 5% of the numbers of elk there are. And yet elk are viewed and pursued by humans during hunting seasons all the time. They find the decimation from wolves. They see that. Scientists and biologists are going out counting how many members are there in each elk herd all through Montana and Wyoming so they understand how many tags should we give out each year. They do nothing but study this year round every day. They know how many wolf kills are happening. It's on their map all day long. The reason why we don't see it with Sasquatch is because you don't have 250,000 hunters out hunting a Sasquatch trying to fill a tag and therefore finding dead ones from wolves. And you don't have state biologists going out studying herds of Sasquatch.
Well, you don't find too many biologists that want to go out there, to be honest.
I think that, and I don't want to piss anybody off, but I really feel that the majority of the numbers where these things are legitimately existing are in the extreme remote areas. I understand that there's evidence that they seem to be coming to the fringes of society, but I'm going to tell you right now, the number of them up in British Columbia and Alaska and throughout the 3 western territories of Canada, to try to compare what's in Florida or any other state down south to that is a freaking joke.
Yeah,
it is. It's a joke. The remoteness they need to live and survive can only be achieved in those areas that are that remote. It can't be done in the suburbs of Atlanta. I'm sorry, it can't be done. It just can't be. And that's my opinion.
No, there's no way. I agree.
That's just my opinion.
Yes, they would have to be rare and elusive. And that means that none of you Bigfooters are ever getting anywhere near them because they're actually rare and elusive. They would have to be. They don't want to have anything to do with people, which means they don't whoop at you. They don't.
Well, actually, that's a misconception that a lot of people have. Is that like I'm just going. This is just my personal view and the experiences that I am the Bigfoot King. But this is just my own personal experience. And this is sort of what I'm going on. Is that yes, they are inquisitive, pal. They're very inquisitive, and I think you'd be very surprised at how often, just because we don't see them, or just because we don't get pictures of them, doesn't mean that they're not standing right there.
Well, you're balancing the perfect contradiction. You're saying yes,
Correct.
They are elusive, yet there's curious, but curiosity and elusivity are. They can go hand in hand.
So going where you're going,
that means I'm watching you from a distance.
The only security that comes in curiosity is being in control of the situation. Okay,
that's right.
Somebody comes out with a gun and they're hunting. I'm not curious about that. You want to come out at 3 a.m. and start banging on trees and doing call stuff? I'm not curious about that. I'm not in control of those situations. You want to sit around a campfire and start singing or playing an instrument or something? I may be a little curious about that. As long as I've got the ability to move back into the wilderness elusively and you never know I was there, I'll express my curiosity. But I'm not going to do that responding to knocks or
And
calls
you
or
never
things
know
like
they're
that.
there.
To me, you're not in control of that situation,
See,
and it's not
but
worth the
You
risk.
never know they're
you
there.
you
Yeah.
you got to look at it at this point, in this point of view, you guys. Like, I mean, at least try to look at it in this way. When you say about elusive and curiosity, if you look at a military situation, the military situation is get your eyes on your enemy, but you stay out of contact. And that's
Right,
exactly
you
what
don't
they
bang on
do.
trees. Yeah.
For
So
every
You're not, okay,
person,
okay, hold it,
Yeah.
hold it, hold it. You brought up a
if
good
there's
point
my
about banging
target,
on
I'm going to
trees.
make as much noise as I possibly can. Right?
No, you brought a good point about
Flip
banging
your
on trees and
analogy on
stuff,
its
you
head.
guys.
Yeah.
Okay,
You-
I personally have never seen them bang on a tree. Okay,
Okay.
I think this is my own personal. I think I've said this before. My personal thing is that I think that's how they think we communicate, right? And I think it's a form of it's a cheap and easy way for them to see if we're in the area. If you are in the bush, the first thing that you're going to hear from a human is whackety whack whack, whackety whack whack. They're just it's almost a mimic to us. They think we're doing that for our ways to communicate. We're not communicating, we're builders.
I just
So when
say
you
there's-
hear about these
I think there's about
Sasquatch banging on
10,000.
trees and-
There's probably 1,000 more
That-
instances of people chopping firewood and making
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
sound
It's
when
all-
they're remote camping than there are Bigfoots hitting trees. They've probably heard that from us thousands of more times than we've ever heard it from them. That's a
Absolutely.
great point. That's a great point.
Absolutely.
Well,
And that's sort of like that's my personal
engagement
view.
is not elusive. Just remember that when you engage, you're not being elusive. And so
No, yeah, that's right.
The
No,
narrative-
the engage,
yeah,
the engage.
the Bigfoot narrative says engagement, and so then you
Yeah, I
have to
don't-
rule out. Okay, well, they're not elusive, and then why are we not getting them? If they're not elusive, then why can't we get them? Because they would have.
It's not. I think we have to talk about elusive in a different way, right? Elusive means you're running away. But
No,
just hang on.
I don't
Elu-
know that I would
Definition
classify it
of
as
elusive
that.
to meet your needs.
Elusive means that you're running away. I'm trying to get away. I'm being elusive. Okay, that's
You're
not
hidden.
what they're doing. They're just coming up to
Make
check
yourself
us out,
known.
right? And they're
Well,
not.
I don't know. There's a
So
lot
check
of
yourself
different
out.
principles here that you're not covering when it comes to elusivity. Okay, if
Yes.
I think every time for every recorded
I mean,
time that a
Stevie, for
human
Just
Hold
Stevie,
on,
your
can I
time in the
finish?
military.
for
Sorry,
every
buddy.
time of a human has visibly recorded an account that they've
Sorry, Pat.
visibly seen one, I think there's 1,000 times for every time that a Sasquatch saw a human in an area and removed itself and elusively moved back into the woods, and the human never knew it was there. I think they've had way more encounters with us than we are even aware of. And because of that, one may be sitting there and see you coming down a trail. And if you're oblivious to them being there and they're not making any noises, part of them being elusive may be not to move. Let you pass by. They're not running away. They're simply
Right.
not making themselves known. But these few times, including my encounter, is when a human gets them in an area where being elusive isn't a choice. Mine was on a small island on a lake. It had nowhere to go when I came down that trail. Or if its young is on one side of an area and it's on the other side and you're intersecting those A and B's with your path of travel, it might not consider it a viable option. It needs to try to make a noise or do something to deter you from that area, right? It doesn't have a choice there. I think those few times where humans come into contact with them like that is when they were stuck to where elusivity wasn't a viable option, whether it's because of young or it's because of what the geographical, they were stuck on the edge of a clearing and they didn't have a place to conceal themselves, whatever.
It's exactly right. That's exactly right.
It's
Because
just
birds
a
do
dice
it,
roll.
deer do it.
Those are very
If you look
rare.
at like a little baby fawn, it's going to lay there until it has no choice but to move.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
bird will
And
lay
so-
there until it has no choice but to move. Right? It's the same
And
thing.
so
But
at that
the
point-
point I was just making there with Stevie is because she's got a military background, and the military background is, yes, you are elusive, and yes, the first thing you do is, you keep your eyes on your enemy. You're not
Well,
running away from
King,
your enemy.
I've got a
You're
military
protecting human
background.
behavior onto-
That's I was gonna
There's no way
I've got
you
a
can-
military background, and one of the things I bring up all the time was when I worked at the Ranger School in Fort Benning, Georgia.
Thank you for your service.
When I seen somebody in the first or the second or the 75th who was their first or second year in that Ranger detachment, and I watched them move from A to B through the wilderness, and then I see someone who's been in that unit for 14 years move from A to B, completely different. Two different levels. I think for us as humans, for us to ask, how could it move from A to B without making sound on this floor covering, on these pine needles and cones and twigs? How does it do that? We're trying to understand it from the mindset that I go camping 2 weeks every year. I go and do this every now and then. Not, I live in this environment 365 days for decades, and all I've done is, and that 14-year Ranger has figured that out to a level that doesn't make sense to us. You see him move and you say, the fluidity of it, and I don't hear anything. But you see the guy who's the first or the second year in that detachment, I can hear him move. It's like,
Oh yeah, he's an elephant.
it's like he hasn't gotten there yet. He'll get there. But I think as humans, when we try to assess their ability to do stuff, we simply don't have a life reference to compare to that, being decades in the woods, surviving on
Well,
elusivity.
I think the only thing that we can compare to it, and that's why a lot of my research is into old folklore, native folklore, and I think that's all we can compare to, as far as what would they do, right? Because I mean, they lived on the same turf, they did the same things, they ate the same food.
And that's to an extent that works. I mean, I don't subscribe to the whole bubblegum. Everything was great.
Yes, not
they
every
learned
native
peace.
knows the Sasquatch. I
I'm
agree there.
I'm going to tell you, I've done a lot of research on Native American tribes throughout the upper Midwest here in
I
the
am
States.
Native American.
And I live next to Blood Run, where there's 278 burial mounds from 7 different tribes. And the one thing that we've learned through the archaeology of this is that prior to the white man ever getting out here onto the plains, these tribes were warring with each other nonstop over resources. When you ran out of a resource, you went next door and kicked that tribe's ass and took over what they had, and they were displaced, and they went and kicked the next tribe's ass, and that happened
We're
all
still
the time.
doing it, Pat. We're still doing it.
The idea that Bigfoot learned the peace and love from Native Americans, I think it learned just as much violence from them as they did any other dialect of people. That's not a shot at Native Americans. I'm just saying I don't subscribe to the whole, they learned to be sweet and nice and peaceful.
There's no
from
knowledge
us.
to get off that.
Yeah, like I wasn't saying that the Native Americans know. I'm just saying you got to look at it's the small nuances of the mythology, right? Those are the things. Not every native is the kingpin of Sasquatch.
And
knowledge.
they would have
Not every
centuries
Cookum or
more.
Mushum or whatever you want to call.
They would have centuries more history living amongst them than
They have.
anybody my color does here. So
You know what, you guys, I'm so glad that I literally just got off the ferry and pulled into a parking lot here. That's all I did. Just because I haven't been on with you guys in a while, and so much has happened in my friggin' life lately. And I just wanted to say thank you, Stevie. Thank you, Mog, for helping that transpire. I don't even know what to say. I mean, this is definitely a new chapter in my life, and it's just weird, man. It's weird.
I'm thrilled that we could inadvertently help.
I know, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I know you're not a
Eating away.
Bigfoot channel, Moggs, but I love it when we can have a good conversation about the
Absolutely.
subject on here, because
Oh, I do
is.
too.
I thought tonight was really a fun conversation. And,
Yeah.
you know, like I said, does King and
But
me and Pat and Jim.
I just want to say one thing, Pat. You are talking to the Bigfoot King, right?
I love how you flex with that at the end of all your.
Yes.
You know, you could. PD can come help you. So,
All of my 10 subscribers really help and really appreciate that.
No, PD
Bigfoot
will
King.
get DNA sample from you. That's his goal in life, to get Bigfoot DNA. So
Big Petey is his dog. That's this picture right there.
it's me. It's PD. Haha. I don't get Bigfoot DNA. Come here, Pete.
No, I'm glad that I came on because I wanted to come on, and things were just in the cards, and it just happened, and I see you're sprouting glasses now. That's awesome. I know you've been wanting them for a while, or you just haven't taken a lot of time.
You wouldn't wear them. He's had them for quite a while.
Thrilled. I'm glad you stopped in, man.
I'm glad all you guys did. I'm sorry, I just went off screen and sat back and was just listening to a good conversation.
Yeah,
So thank you guys for that.
I'm here to listen.
You know, that was
But-
great.
Now that I'm back on normal human soil, I will try to come on in a more fashionable. Maybe I'll shoot something from the office or something, and I can come on and chat. And I just look forward to more chatting. Pat, you're very knowledgeable, and I love that,
That's
especially
Jeff.
about big game, because I think on the majority.
Wait, it was Jeff.
Right next to you is Jeff. On the other
Oh,
side,
Jeff
you
is
have
right
Pat.
next to me.
Pat is squashed up.
Yeah,
Yes,
Jeff
man.
is next to you.
Sorry about that. I read. Is
Edie's
it Jeff
right there.
right beside me there?
Hey, Pat's knowledgeable too.
Maybe that's why I'm seeing Bigfoot everywhere. My eyes are so bad. I don't know. I'm just saying you're very knowledgeable, Jeff, and I really appreciate that because a big game hunter, I don't get the chance to talk to very many of them because they are a bit of a weird nut, right? The guys that go out there for an extended periods of time, it's no joke out there. I'll tell you something. I mean, if they say they don't get scared, or if you're not aware, they're bullshit. So I'm just happy that I have somebody that I can communicate with on the channel too. That's really nice. I don't believe that I know everything about Bigfoot, but I will tell you something. We're in for a rude awakening here. This Nahani trip, it's going to be a good one.
I'm sure we'll be in touch way before then.
Yeah,
Yep.
definitely. Be safe out there.
I'm just happy to be back. Hey, you know what? You know what was the best? I could actually shower for more than like 2 minutes at a time. Okay, I took like about a 30-minute shower last night, which was awesome. So I'm feeling pretty good.
Okay,
But
deal.
I'm gonna bail. You guys have a great night.
You
Thanks
too.
for chatting. Thanks,
Good to
Jeff.
see
Thanks, Pat. Thanks, whoever else is on there, because I can't
Jim.
read any of
Is
them.
Jim still with us?
Jim, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. I
I'll
didn't
talk
have
to
any.
you guys soon.
All right,
Peace
man.
out.
Take care.
We're going to strip him of his crown if he doesn't go out and
The
have
king
his
has
camera.
left the building.
Right.
Yeah,
I love how he
Yeah,
flexes that at the end.
well, it's who he is. He's
Yeah.
the Bigfoot King.
Well, you ask him, well, why would you think that? Well, because this and because that and because I'm the Bigfoot King.
Hey, it's all entertainment, right?
We are at that 2 hour, a little over 2 hours. Yeah, thank you guys, man. This was a good night.
Cool.
I enjoyed the
Jim,
conversation.
you did what I did and sat back and just enjoyed a good
I did the same
conversation.
thing.
Well,
Yeah,
thanks
so
for
cool.
hosting it, Mods.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're in it to win it, man.
Sir, I missed a lot of people in chat. Chance.
I
good to see
I
ya.
can't see
I just
chat
let
at
these
all.
guys go on and on. I typed a little bit, but
I-
thank you everybody for hanging out. I really
Yeah,
appreciate
definitely.
it. Hope you had a good time tonight. So yeah, guys. Jeff, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Stay in touch.
Thanks, Mods.
Because I think
Thanks, Jeff.
he doesn't the Bigfoot King doesn't realize or he doesn't know about your other research project that you did.
Sure.
I think he'd be very interested in that one too.
Right.
With the kayaking and
Oh yeah.
So anyway.
Lots of research.
Well, he brought up something interesting when he said the big game guides, if they say they've never been scared, they're full of it. The problem is they're always with clients, and you can never let a client know that you're scared of anything.
Oh, sure.
Right.
But yet on the inside, you might be coming undone, and you have to learn to hide it. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I got scared by a possum the other night, so.
Been there. I've
I
been
thought
there.
it was a black bear.
I wonder how the possum felt.
It was just a possum.
I hate them damn things.
It definitely wasn't Bigfoot. So.
All right.
All right, guys.
Good to see you guys.
We're gonna say goodnight. Pat, take care.
Mogs, Jeff, peace out.
Thanks.
We'll see you.
All right, Jeff.
Take
Again,
care.
thanks. And that was a good conversation tonight. I appreciate
Yeah, it was fun. You know, and I don't want people to get confused. We're talking about stuff that sometimes I get a little passionate about. I'm not trying to be an asshole about it. Just,
Not at all.
you know, I think my passion probably comes out in a little bit of the things I say. But
Well, I think it's things like Miss Dill. She's like, what did she
at
say?
the end, she says there's too much testosterone.
Testosterone.
At the end, she says there's too much testosterone in here. I gotta leave. And I'm like,
Your
okay,
eyes glazed
well.
over, and she's just like,
We weren't even talking about snowmobiles and fishing. I mean, come on.
all right.
Not at all.
I don't think we mentioned fishing. I said I can't fish. That's probably.
Well,
Well,
that's what we came to that.
All right, man. We'll see you guys later.
all right,
Take care,
Jeff,
Jeff.
take care, man. Thanks.
Right.
Hey, Jim,
Mogs,
you
you-
still with us?
We're still at the
Do
door.
your best. You let the conversation go wherever the conversation goes. And that's hard to be beat. I mean, you guys don't have to be talking in order to have a good time and let other people get their ideals across. And we appreciate that.
I'm glad we can do it.
Yeah, right. I mean, we enjoy it just as much,
I am-
honestly.
Because I am a Bigfoot enthusiast. You know, I
We all have
really love the
interest in-
subject and
yeah.
All aspects of it. I'm not just like I haven't taken a stand in a camp of flesh and blood or woo or both. Or I just I'm open minded enough or have experienced enough, so I'm really open for anything. With these things.
Like everyone else, we just want to know.
I'd like some answers.
Yeah.
Too many people have seen too many things for something not to be going on.
Exactly.
Oh, there is something
Exactly.
going on, in my opinion.
There are too many stories, and they all can't be lying.
No.
If one person's telling the truth, it exists.
Well, based on my own
So,
experiences.
And I've known people that I know people that have had experiences like Jeff, and I believe these people.
And like Jay, and yeah. I mean,
I believe they believe. That sounds
Absolutely.
terrible. I hate that expression. No,
no,
I believe they did. They saw something.
Well, I've shared an experience with Jay, so
It goes back to that me saying I believe in people.
yeah. I mean, there's true stories out there and true experiences, and I've had my own experience, and it may be, it just left me with more questions. I can't say what it is, but I know that there is something out there. So, and that's where my interest is. Too many experiences of my own to doubt anybody else's that, I know had a true experience.
No, I've recently changed my opinions about people as far as their stories and whatever, and like where like I think, okay, I don't believe this person, but
Yeah.
I keep that shit to myself, usually. If I think somebody's lying, I might mention it to a few, but see what they think, and we're usually.
I think a lot what needs to happen is people need to share, like they were talking about their data, and any scientific data that's out there, people aren't sharing. And when it comes down to it, how are we going to know? You can look at pictures and videos, and it's so easy to manipulate, and it's sad that that's out there as an option in any regards to that field. But
well, it's sad that it like they said earlier, the best video, the best picture, it doesn't matter. People are gonna still poo-poo on it.
yes,
it's a shame.
it is. But anyways,
But yeah,
Jim, thanks for hanging out.
yeah.
No problem. Thank you guys, and we'll do it again Thursday, I suppose.
Yeah, we'll be here.
Same time, same channel.
Gates
Yeah,
Master, Rex, good to see you.
And I'm sorry, everyone. I haven't been able to look at chat tonight.
Because
I'm
you
on
used
my
your
phone. Yeah, I kind of dumped coffee on the laptop like 1 minute before the show.
literally.
I did.
Well, the good news is if there's no sugar in that coffee, it's more repairable than if it was full of sugar.
What about artificial sugar?
And vanilla creamer.
That one I don't know, but sugar is very conductive.
Yeah,
So-
it's not good either way.
Did Jim plug it or anything?
I didn't have
No.
to.
Oh no, that's not a good sign.
I don't know. It's
That's
off.
not.
Kind of off.
All right, we'll keep our fingers crossed and let you guys go. Good night to everybody in chat, and see you guys.
Thanks. I didn't do that. He
I-
just bailed. That was quick. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
It's always fun to have Jim on.
Thank you, everybody that came on tonight. You guys, that was great conversation.
Bigfoot King. Yeah.
Sorry, I haven't been able to follow chat. It's been kind of weird for me.
And everybody in chat, thanks for hanging out. Ahmad, Sharon, Mike, Miss Dell. I was going to say Mr. Lee wasn't here tonight.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully he's doing it right. Anyway, if you did enjoy the show tonight, if you had a good time, please hit that like button below. If you're new, subscribe, share it out, leave comments. We love comments.
Yes.
But it helps some algorithm, whatever it is. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't have that.
Doesn't really matter.
It's just fun to read.
Yeah. Tell a friend. All right, guys. Take care of yourself. Take care of one another. Love you guys. Peace and God bless.